Hi, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where in the world you are today. I am Diane Kokora, CEO of PartnerPath, and with me on TCVC this week, I also have Carol Neslin. Hi, Carol, how's it going?
Hi, Diane. Great.
And today we're going to talk about the webinar that we did on partnering is personal. And Carol, I know you joined that and just wanted some of your perspective on what you thought kind of some of the key takeaways that Sandra Glazer-Cheek from Sienna had on that webinar.
So a couple things that I thought were really interesting to me, especially given my both vendor and distribution background, was a lot of the discussion about all the different types of partners out there and how you really have to be thoughtful about who you're partnering with and what their value proposition is out in the marketplace, what they're trying to accomplish with their customers. So are they a resale vendor, which there aren't very many of them left? Are they an MSP? Are they a systems integrator? What are they doing? And therefore, what does that mean in terms of your partner programs and how you enable them? And I think the partnering is personal really gets to that point when she was talking about how you have to really understand the business model of the partner and think about enabling them based on that basis. The other thing that I thought, which really kind of piqued my attention and really made me think about what she was saying, was when she was talking about the fact that you're enabling individuals at a partner. And I think that that's been my experience leading channel account manager teams over the years and interacting with different partners is it is very different when you're interacting with the operations person at a partner, which is one of the things that you will do as channel account manager. You need to do different things to help enable the partner from an operations perspective, and the CAM needs to put on that hat. When they're in the sales role, there's a different kind of enablement and a different kind of outreach that needs to happen to the salesperson and to the systems engineer. And then there's the whole beast of the owner of the company who probably isn't interested in the operations or the sales piece, but wants to understand the whole money piece.
Yeah. And so those are the two kind of tracks I think that you summarized very well that we kind of talked about. One is going with the individual. And the whole idea around that is that when we say we are enabling a partner or a partner is enabled, call it, any kind of company that you might have as a reseller or a systems integrator or a solution provider for you. When we say they're enabled, the company is not necessarily enabled, but we've probably trained or worked with a few people in that company. So who are those people? What were their backgrounds and their skill sets as an individual, right? Not every company and not every individual may need the same training, right? If you've got a very experienced person on one of your partners that's a sales guy that has been selling your competitors' products forever, how much sales training and certification does he really need to go through? I mean, he probably needs to understand how your products are differentiated, but you may not have to go in and talk about security and kind of how to understand the best practices or how to understand or uncover needs around security solutions. So we just really wanted to hammer home that factor around when we're enabling, we're talking about an individual, somebody that has skills and some background and some goals, right? What does that guy want to be? Does he like to be a sales guy? Does he want to be a sales manager? Does he want to, leave that kind of role and go into operations? So understanding kind of the individual behind that you're working with really helps you create that and foster that relationship.
Yeah, and I think the fact that what we were talking about in that webinar, one thing that I think is really key is that there are different people at a partner, and being enabled means different things to the different people. So there are all kinds of different salespeople who you need to understand their hopes and their aspirations and their quota and a lot of other things about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. The other thing is it means something entirely different to enable the operations team at a partner. And I think that what happens inside vendor organizations is we get so focused on enabling from a sales perspective, sales training, product training, all of those things, we forget that a big part of enabling a partner is enabling them to transact the business once they've gotten it, and to understand how to come back into the organization to access resources. So again, if you're thinking about enabling individuals inside a company, you're going to think about individuals in different functions and not just narrowly think about trying to get the sales guy at the partner to sell more, because he has an organization that needs to support him relative to the products you're selling.
Yeah, and that also goes to what we really kind of talked most of the webinar about, which is that the partners themselves, the organizations that we call channel partners, are their business models are becoming much more differentiated, mostly like kind of due to cloud, right? We don't necessarily have a bunch of resellers anymore. And if you sit in a room full of partners and you ask them how many of them are systems integrators, they all raise their hand. And if you ask them how many of them develop some sort of kind of leave behind code or ISV, they'll all raise their hand. So these types of partners, these labels that we put on them, have all been blending for a very long time. So we're started to talk a lot in the webinar around the partners' business models being so differentiated that what we call programs with a big capital P, right? Our pyramids and our bronze, silver, gold, platinum, double diamond stuff becomes less relevant to the partners, because they don't necessarily look alike to be able to kind of fit into these big programs that we put together as vendors. So the idea was more around initiatives that the partners may or may not engage in depending upon their own business models.
One of the things that we forget is how large and complex a partner is also plays a big part of whether or not we'll be doing business planning with them and at what level. We'll do business planning, which is one of the things that's going to have to happen in this new world. But it might be different doing that with a really large company that's 7 or 8 companies rolled up under one and owned by a private equity firm, as compared to a regional player that's smaller in size and scope, but might actually be serving a customer more in depth on a particular technology. So again, you have to understand the organization and the people inside that organization, which I think is something that's going to be different as we move forward versus kind of the one size fits all, or every gold gets this and every platinum gets that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we also talked about, and Sandra talked about around that those benefits or those program elements really being driven by the business planning and doing business planning with your partners to understand their business models and what of your benefits in terms of your program stuff that they need, right? Hopefully some of the next generation of PRM tools or portals might be able to help provide that management experience in terms of clicking on and off radio buttons for benefits and being able to kind of align that channel management, that piece, with the partner based upon their business.
And I also think that there's a whole new set of Pam skills that are probably going to have to come into play as well. So you're going to have to actually train your people that are out there in the field. For business planning to be successful, we're going to have to help vendors and the staffs that are calling on the partners, the CAMs and the PAMs, to really be able to engage in that conversation with the partner so that it's meaningful for the partner and not just an administrative exercise.
Yes, and I think we'll wrap it up with just that. I think that CAM is really going to be the crux of how you get more personal with your, in terms of personal responsibilities and personal interactions with your partners. And the reason that we really want to do that is for the experience that the partner has. Because the better experience they have with you as a vendor, the more likely they are to continue to sell and promote your products. And I think that CAM and the role of the channel account manager is really going to be that linchpin in teaching them about the different business models, how partners make money, and how to have a conversation with an executive as you come. Thank you for talking with me about it on the Technology Channel Videocast this week, and we will see you all next week.